Welcome to Quizzical Grace. Today's challenge is a 20 multiple-choice Bible quiz covering the Old and New Testament to really test your knowledge and strengthen your faith. For each question, you'll see 4 answer choices, and you'll have just 5 seconds to pick the right one before the answer is revealed. Keep track of your score and be sure to share it in the comments. Let's get started. In Genesis, who was the first person to build an altar to the Lord after the flood? B. Noah. After leaving the ark, Noah built an altar and offered sacrifices. God responded with a covenant, sealing his promise with a rainbow. In Exodus, what was the first plague upon Egypt? B. Blood. The Nile turned to blood, striking at Egypt's gods of the river. God was showing his supremacy from the very start of the plagues. In Leviticus, what animal was sent into the wilderness to symbolize the removal of Israel's sins? C. Goat. On the Day of Atonement, the scapegoat carried Israel's sins into the wilderness, a picture fulfilled in Christ. In Numbers, who attempted to curse Israel but ended up blessing them? D. Balaam. Hired to curse Israel, Balaam spoke blessings instead. God turned intended harm into good. In Deuteronomy, which mountain was associated with blessings being proclaimed? A. Mount Gerizim. Blessings were declared on Gerizim, curses on Ebal. Israel's obedience or disobedience would shape their future. In Joshua, what miracle happened at the Jordan River when the priest stepped in? B. River stopped flowing. When the priests carrying the ark stepped into the Jordan, the waters stopped and Israel crossed on dry ground, a miracle mirroring the Red Sea. In Judges, who killed Sisera, commander of Canaan's army, with a tent peg? C. Jael. Jael drove a tent peg through Sisera's head while he slept. Her bravery delivered Israel from oppression. In 1 Samuel, whose voice did young Samuel mistake for God's call? A. Eli's. Samuel thought Eli was calling him 3 times before realizing it was the Lord's voice. A lesson in learning to discern God's call. In 2 Samuel, what man cursed David by throwing stones and shouting insults as David fled Jerusalem? D. Shimei. Shimei cursed David, but David restrained his men, leaving judgment to God. Shows David's humility in crisis. In 1 Kings, who built the first temple in Jerusalem? B. Solomon. Solomon built the temple, fulfilling David's dream and centralizing Israel's worship in Jerusalem. In 2 Kings, who called down fire from heaven to destroy 2 companies of soldiers? A. Elijah. When Ahaziah's men came to seize him, Elijah called down fire from heaven, a clear display of God's power. In Ezra, which Persian king allowed the Jews to return and rebuild the temple? A. Cyrus. Cyrus issued the decree for Israel's return, fulfilling prophecy that God would move kings to accomplish his plans. In Esther, who was the king that chose Esther as queen? D. Ahasuerus, also known as King Xerxes. King Xerxes elevated Esther as queen, preparing the way for God to use her courage to save her people. In Ecclesiastes, what does the teacher declare is meaningless? C. Life under the sun. The teacher laments that life without God's perspective is meaningless. Points us to hope beyond earthly pursuits. In Isaiah, which king died the year Isaiah saw the Lord in the temple? A. Isaiah. Isaiah's vision came in the year King Uzziah died, reminding Israel that God's throne is unshakable. In Jeremiah, whose prophetic scroll was cut up and burned by King Jehoiakim. B. Jeremiah's. Jehoiakim burned Jeremiah's scroll in defiance, but God told Jeremiah to write another. His word cannot be destroyed. In Ezekiel, what valley did the prophet see filled with dry bones? C. Valley of Dry Bones. God brought dry bones to life, symbolizing Israel's restoration. He breathes life into what seems hopeless. In Mark, who carried Jesus' cross when he could no longer? B. Simon of Cyrene. Simon of Cyrene was compelled to carry the cross. His act became a symbol of discipleship, bearing Christ's burden. In John, what was Jesus' first public miracle? C. Turning water into wine. Cana, Jesus revealed his glory by turning water into wine, a joyful sign of God's abundance and blessing. In Revelation, which church was said to be lukewarm? D. Laodicea. Laodicea was rebuked for being neither hot nor cold. So warning to keep faith wholehearted, not half-hearted. Great job finishing today's quiz. How did you do? Drop a comment below and let me know your score or which question stumped you the most. Maybe even suggest a topic for a future quiz. If you enjoyed this challenge, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Quizzical Grace so you won't miss the next round of Bible quizzes. God bless.